Retired Air Force Colonel Gale Halverson drops candy to children from a C-54 transport plane. He does this at air shows around the United States, like this one at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. For 60 years, he's been known as the Candy Bomber.
We fly this Spirit of Freedom, the C-54 that supported the airlift in 1948 and 49 to air shows all over the East Coast, and to remind old people what it was about and educate the young people of America what freedom meant to the kids in Berlin.
In 1948, Halverson was in the Berlin Airlift. It was one of the largest humanitarian missions in history, and it ended a confrontation between the United States and the Soviet Union. After World War II, a divided Berlin was surrounded by Soviet-occupied Eastern Germany. In May 1948, the Soviet Union blocked U.S., British, and French access to the western part of the city, hoping the Allies would abandon it. The 2 million people of West Berlin had only 35 days' worth of food. On June 26th, the U.S. and Britain began flying food, coal, and other vital supplies to them. Halverson is one of the best-known pilots of the airlift. He became known as the Candy Bomber because he dropped chocolate bars tied to small parachutes to the children of West Berlin.
Oh, we got one more.
Halverson recalls that the idea for a candy drop came to him as he was talking with children across a barbed wire fence at a Berlin airport.
I want to give them something because they didn't beg. All I had 2 sticks of gum broken in half, 4 pieces through the barbed wire. Kids with a half a stick looked like they got $1 million.
One child who was grateful was Helga Stege. Now Helga Johnson, she remembers living in a partially bombed-out apartment building in post-war Berlin.
We really had nothing to eat. There was nothing available. We had some old potatoes or something, and we were hungry all the time. We went to bed dressed because we had no coals to heat the house. Some of the windows were broken.
She describes the feeling when she heard American and British planes landing.
We were so grateful to the Americans that they helped us. And you have to remember, we were the enemy, and the war was only over 3 years. And then the Americans helped us to stay alive.
Helga, now a U.S. citizen, also travels to air shows on the restored transport plane that flew during the airlift. It serves as a traveling museum. Washington's International Spy Museum also has an exhibit on Berlin during the Cold War. Executive Director Peter Ernest is a former CIA agent. He says the Berlin airlift altered the course of the Cold War.
It was just that the blockade was so dramatic, so sudden, and provoked such a sharp reply that it clearly sharpened the formation of those opposing blocks, if you will. And in that sense, I think it played a key role in the Cold War.
Halverson says the Berlin airlift stopped Soviet leader Joseph Stalin from marching westward.
He had to take West Berlin before he went to West Germany. He got stopped in West Berlin by world opinion because he was starving people, and the British, French, and Americans were feeding them.
The Soviets ended their blockade in May 1949. The airlift, 278,000 flights, ended in September. Halverson says he and the others who flew in the airlift earned their place in history. Kent Klein, VOA News, Washington.